In this lesson, we're going to be looking at factorising harder quadratics or trinomials, where the coefficient of x squared is going to be higher than 1. So the expression that you'll be factorising will look something like, I don't know, if you have 2x squared plus 5x plus 11, for example. Okay, if you had anything that looks like that, where, as you can see, the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1, so that could be 2, it could be 4, 5, 7, any number. And then it's still in the form where you have a number, a coefficient of x, and then this number, which is your c. Okay. So this is different, a different approach to if you were answering a question such as x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, if you have got an expression like that you need to factorise, you need to watch the other video because that's a bit more straightforward than this method. Okay, so the first example that we've got to look at is we're asked to factorise 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. So we have a trinomial where we have an x squared, an x and a number. It's called a quadratic, and the important part to look at is the coefficient of x squared. This a is greater than 1. It is 6, isn't it? Okay, and then our b is plus 19 and our c is plus 10. So as we are factorising a quadratic, we will have a double bracket at the end. Okay, so we are going to have a double bracket like so. Okay, but notice that the coefficient of x squared is 6. So the first term in both of these are either going to be like a 6x and a 1x, or an x then, or a 2x and a 3x. Okay, something that times together to give us this 6x squared. But don't worry too much about that for a moment. Let's go through these steps. So step 1, we multiply the coefficient of x squared, which is a then, by c, this number here. Okay, so we're going to do 6 times 10, which is 60. That's the first step. Quite straightforward. Step 2, we write the factor pairs of 60, this number, the result of multiplying a by c. Okay, so the factor pairs of 60 are 1 and 60, 2 goes into it 30 times, 3 goes into it 20 times, 4 goes into 60 15 times, 5 goes into 60 12 times, 6 goes into 60 10 times. Does 7 go into 60? No. Does 8 go into 60? No. Does 9 go into 60? No. Does 10? Yes. And you've written it down so you can stop. Okay, so we know that we have all the factor pairs. So step 3, we need to look for the factor pairs that we can add or subtract to give our b. And in this case, it's going to be plus 19. Okay, so let's look at these factor pairs that we have got. Can 1 and 60 be added or subtracted to give plus 19? No. 2 and 30? No. 3 and 20? No. 4 and 15? Yes. How? Plus 4 plus 15 would give you plus 19. Can 5 and 12? No. Can 6 and 10? No. So these are going to be the factor pairs that we need. This +4 and the +15. Okay. So step 4. So the factor pairs that we're going to be using, sorry if I just write that here, are +4 and +15. What we now do, step 4, is we rewrite the question, the trinomial or quadratic, using the factor pairs to replace the b. Okay, this will make a lot more sense when I actually write it out. Okay, so what we have here then is that we're still going to have 6x squared, will still be 6x squared. We're still going to have +10, okay, but this +19x we will rewrite using +4x, and that's come from the factor pair. So notice that this was +4, so that has now come here, okay, and then this +15 is going to be written here, +15x, but we must remember to put that x there. Okay, so we've rewritten it. Next step now, I'm just going to get rid of these arrows. The next step is that we draw a little dotted line cutting this in half. So we're going to have 6x squared plus 4x, dotted line because that sign there is attached to that 15x, and then you've got plus 10. Okay, so we cut this in half, and what you now do, step 5, is going to be that we need to factorize this expression here, and we also need to factorize this expression here, which is plus 15x plus 10. Okay, so let's think about the factorizing that we have been looking at. We've got 6x squared plus 4x. We need to factorize that. Well, let's think about, can I use the common factor approach? What do I have something that goes into 6 and 4? Yes. 2. Does anything go into x squared and x? Yes, x. So I can use the common factor approach. Okay, so factorizing this, the highest common factor number-wise is 2. What goes into x squared and x is x. Open bracket, 2 times what gives you 6, 3, x times what gives you x squared, x, plus 2 times what gives you 4, 2, and then 2x times 2 is 4x, or obviously you can do it the division way. Okay, now we need to factorize this expression here. What goes into 15x and 10? 5. Okay, and that's a positive 5. That's important, okay, to identify if it's a positive or a negative. Open bracket, 5 times what gives you 15x, 3x, add plus 5 times what gives you plus 10 is going to be a plus 2. Now what you should notice when you factorize these is that the two brackets should be the same. If they're not, it means you've made a mistake. Okay, and so that's now pretty much all the hard work done. We have factorized. We can now put our double brackets. Okay, in one of our brackets will be 2x. So can you see we've got 2x there, and the plus 5. So they go inside the one bracket. And the next bracket is going to be the terms inside those brackets, so 3x plus 2. Okay, and you can always double check that you have done this correctly by expanding the bracket using FOIL. Okay, so if we multiply this term by that term, that's going to give you 6x squared. This term by this term, our outside is going to give us plus 4x. This term by that one, our inside is going to give you plus 15x. And then plus 5 times plus 2, which is our last. And that gives you 6x squared plus 19x plus 10, which is the original question, so you know that you've factorised it correctly. Okay, so that's the first example. Quite a lot of steps there, but when we go through a few more examples now, it should make a bit more sense. Okay, let's look at example 2 here. So what's the first thing that we need to do? We need to take the coefficient of x squared and this number here. Don't worry too much about the sign at the moment. And we need to multiply those two together. Okay, so 21 times 1 is going to give you 21. Okay, so second step that we need to do, we need to write the factor pairs of 21. So what are the factor pairs of 21? 1 and 21. It's an odd number, so 2 doesn't go exactly into it. 3 goes into it. 3 times 7. Does 4 go into 21? No. Does 5? No. 6? No. 7? Yes. And you've written it down so you can stop. Okay, so the second step is to write down all of the factor pairs. Next step is to choose which factor pairs will give you plus 4. Okay, so we need to choose which of these can give us plus 4. Can 1 and 21 give us plus 4? No. Can 3 and 7? Yes. How? Minus 3 plus 7 would give you that plus 4. So these are the factor pairs that we need, and these are the signs for each of those factor pairs. Okay, so what we now do is we rewrite this expression using our factor pairs. So we've got 21x squared minus 3x plus 7x minus 1. Okay, notice 21x is the same, the minus 1 is the same. This is still plus 4x, it's just rewritten, because minus 3x plus 7x is plus 4x, isn't it? So it's like an unsimplified form using this pair of factors. Okay, what do we then do? We split this in half, remembering that that plus is glued onto that 7x. Okay, now we factorise both sides. So looking at 21x squared minus 3x, let's factorise that. What goes into 21 and 3? 3. What goes into x squared and x? X. Open bracket. Depends if you do the division or the multiply method here to be able to factorise. So if we did 21x squared divided by 3x, that would give you 7x. Or 3 times what gives you 21, 7. X times what gives you x squared is x. Minus, because a positive times a negative will give you this negative. 3 times what is 3? Well, 1. X times what is x would still be 1. So we need a 1 there. Now remember that we know that really for this to be correct, we want this bracket here when we factorise to be 7x minus 1. Okay, let's have a look. What goes into plus 7x and minus 1? Well, 7 and 1 are prime numbers, and there's only x in one place. So the only number that we can take out of here that goes into both of these is 1. So take out plus 1, open bracket, 1 times what gives you 7x, 7x, minus, because a positive times a negative is a negative, 1 times what is 1, 1. These are both the same, so you know that you've done this correctly. And then what we have is we know that when we factorise this expression up there, we're going to have double brackets. This 3x will go here. This plus 1 will go here. And then in this second bracket is going to be 7x minus 1. What is inside both of those brackets? Okay, let's look at this third example. So we're asked to factorise the expression 18x squared plus 27x plus 4. Again, it's a trinomial, and notice that the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So we need to use this harder quadratics factorising method. Okay, this has come up in a unit 1. Okay, so you're not allowed to calculate it for this question. So first thing that we need to do is take the coefficient of x squared and the c, this number here, and we need to multiply those together. 18 times 4 is going to give you 72. Now some of you will be able to do that in your heads. If you're not able to, remember that in your GCSE it's important to get these correct. Okay, so just go back to your traditional methods or your box methods or your Chinese methods. 8 times 4 is 32. 1 times 4 is 4, add your 3 is 7. Okay. Then we write the factor pairs of 72. So we will have 1 with 72, 2 with 36, 3 with 24, 4 with 18, 5 doesn't go into 72, 6 with 12, 7 doesn't go into 72, 8 goes into 72 9 times. Okay, so we've written down all the factor pairs of 72. Now we need to choose which pair is going to give us, is able to add or subtract to give plus 27. Okay, so can 1 and 72? No. Can 2 and 36? No. Can 3 and 24? Yes. How? Plus 3 plus 24. Okay. Can 4 and 18? No. Can 6 and 12? No. Can 8 and 9? No. So these are going to be the pair of factors that we would be using, because those add together to give plus 27. Okay, so now we rewrite this original expression using these pair of factors. So 18x squared plus 3x plus 24x plus 4. Okay, draw your dotted line down to split this in half. Factorise this side. That's going to give you what goes into 18x squared and 3x. That'll be 3x. Open bracket, 6x plus 1. What goes into 24x plus 4? That's plus 4. Open bracket, 6x plus 1. Okay, and so in one bracket we're going to have 3x plus 4, and in the other bracket 6x plus 1, because remember these two must be the same. Okay, and that's factorising these harder quadratics, which is higher tier.